was so 1877-78, and then he came into the England team in the 1880s, and then went back to Australia in the late 1880s. So he had 12 tests between 1877 and 87.
So I think we're just ahead of Albert Trott.
Yeah. Oh,
Because when you said obviously played for Australia and for England, I was trying to think who else has done that. Albert Trott came immediately into my mind of a similar era, but not quite so far back in the case of Albert, although again an all-rounder.
Yeah.
So possibly he and Billy Midwinter may have had that's something they would most definitely have in common. Tell us a little bit more about his bowling.
So
what did he throw down?
Right arm medium, so he's a nice contrast with some of the other cricketers in the team. He did take 24 wickets at 25. 269 test runs, only at 13, hence I put him down at 8. So yeah, I mean, I'd just like to again, he just would add another dimension to the bowling attack, I believe, and WG would certainly want him in his team.
So you've also got then, if he's at 8, you're batting quite deep.
Yes,
because it sounds to me like he's
actually at 9. Actually, yeah.
Oh yeah, 9. I beg your pardon. Yes. Because we had Jack Russell at 7. We had David Allen at 8. And yes, you're right. We had Billy Midwinter at 9, who can more than hold a bat. So 10 and Jack.
Well, they're two genuine rabbits. So, but of course they wouldn't have to bat with the lineup we've got here.
Well, no.
Number 10, one of my favourite cricketers of all time, David Lawrence.
I was wondering if Sid might make it in there.
Again, described as right fast, not medium, right fast. I remember I saw him play.
Well,
if the rain comes, they stop playing bloody cricket.
Well, yes, they did stop playing bloody cricket after England had polished off South Africa this morning in next to no time, courtesy of some accurate, some swing, a little bit of movement off the pitch, but basically some pretty shabby shabby batting.
Shabby batting?
Shabby batting, yes.
Not shabba ranks.
No. South Africa, though, 15 without loss. They trail by 275. The rain's going to come and go, so the follow-on was, of course, enforced by Joe Root with the lead, I think, at the time, about 290, wasn't it? 291, actually. When they had the chance. So we are now hoping, everything is telling us it's a 10 past 2 local time start. That would be 10 past 12 in the UK, and 10 past something wherever you might be in the world. To my left, just pouring a glass of wine from a bottle which he's keeping worryingly open close to the already slightly dodgy tweet reading computer is the lubricated and lovely
good afternoon, everybody.
Grubby Howarth.
This guy is going to finish off an over.
Indeed he is.
Do you know Mark Wood? Yes, he is an England bowler, quite good and pretty quick. So just a normal guy. Of course. Except for just one thing.
What?
He thinks that he's a horse.
Right. What?
And
facing the heat.
Indeed, from the Park Drive end, it is going to be saddling up that imaginary horse of his. The man brought in to really sort of bounce and use pace at South Africa. Yet to take a wicket, though. Certainly didn't take one in the first innings, did he? As those were shared out between Bess, Curran and Broad. But of course,
team game
is...
Played his part, didn't he? Yeah.
Indeed, Nimrod from the Enigma variations by none other than Elgar, not Dean Elgar in this case, but here is Dean Elgar, and up onto his toes he goes, and they drop the bat on that and a quick single taken. So South Africa, after that long rain delay, waste no time in getting their legs moving again, getting the scoreboard moving again, and just moving South Africa one run closer to that England total.
Well, Tone, I think that's England being a bit sluggish after the extended rain break, because it was clear before the break that Elgar was not comfortable at all against Wood, and who would be when he's shunting him down the best part of 90 miles an hour. and he's just allowed. We've just allowed him to get off strike by just shoving it into the offside and going for a quick one. I think we could have been more on our toes there, England.
Well, yes, we shall see, but it will bring onto strike.
Yes, but it's a new over now.
Oh, well, of course it is. So he's nicked the strike. Quite right. Well, he's going to face Stuart Broad, who bowled quite magnificently this morning. In fact, the first wicket of the morning. Who was the first wicket of the morning?
Philander was the first wicket, which he played.
Oh, he played all around
a
it,
massive
didn't he?
gate.
Yeah, to be fair.
And then de Kock said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah.
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 And then there was a chop on from a pretty lacklustre pull shot from Maharaj.
Anyway,
Well,
this
Stuart
is
Broad's operating from the duck pond end.
What would make Broad walk?
if his stumps were knocked down.
And his right arm around the wicket, worked away around the corner, backward of square, straight to Mark Wood, who's back in the game immediately. And has that been given as a no ball?
It's a no-y.
It was indeed a
Immediately.
no ball by Stuart Broad. So we'll have a look at by how much.
Um,
The
if you-
umpiring arm was shot out there.
If you've been listening to us the last couple of days, you may have heard the voice of ex-Warwickshire legend Paul Smith, who's been with us.
Indeed.
And our friend Annie, who was also here yesterday, the last couple of days, I think, Annie, said it's been great fun commentating with Paul Smith.
Oh, good.
And Paul has just replied to all of us saying, it was fun.
Excellent.
So
Fun having him
glad
here.
you enjoyed it, Paul.
Even getting lost in Crystal Palace was fun, apparently.
Well, indeed, Peter Milan is the man going to face Broad. 3 slips in place, and that one kept a bit low.
It
and
did.
Milan had to drop the bat in it in very quick order. They set off for a single, and I think rather rapidly changed their mind.
Well,
18
you said they, but I think he set off for a single and was quite
well,
quickly disabused of that idea.
yeah. Indeed.
Linux Lear, who is now Lear Bundle of Joy, like that, says, so that settles it. India under-19 are better than Australia's seniors. We've been watching a bit of the India
We have.
under-19,
Yes, we
Sri
have.
Lanka under-19. Excellent
Broad
wicketkeeper for
brought
Sri
in
Lanka.
again, rolling in, and that one again is on a length, on off stump. And if you've just come back from a rain delay that's disturbed 2 opening batsmen's concentration, you want to work that off stump and don't give them too much that they can comfortably leave.
Our listeners are nothing if not pedantic, and Peter Lloyd, I think, Tony, you might have mentioned that everywhere is 10 past somewhere, and he said,
Yeah.
not the case. Indian Standard
No.
Time is 5.5 hours ahead.
Yes,
Which I know you know.
Even as I
But
said it,
it's
I
good-
was
it's good to
thinking
know you're
someone
listening.
will pull me up on that.
Yeah, and Peter Lloyd did. Thank you,
As,
Peter.
in
You
comes
pedant.
Broad again, left outside of off stump and through to Joss Butler. The somewhat maligned Joss Butler in this Test match. I
Well,
understand
you
why.
you can say what you want now, Annie's not here.
No.
Oh, but Grubby's here,
but
I
she's
suppose,
got,
well.
yes. No, the Somerset Mafia have just simply replaced one
no,
for
no.
another. Yeah.
Lads, I would be fully supportive of folks for Butler at the moment.
Indeed.
So there we are. I've said it.
You've said it. You've got off the pot. As in comes Broad, and again, big bat aloft, left alone by Milan, and through to Joss Butler.
Do you think they'll
It
take
goes.
all 3 keepers to Sri Lanka? Bairstow, Boats and Folkes?
Well, I was saying next doors, no, that it's astonishing to me that Folkes isn't even part of the squad. And it feels to me like we're sort of building towards an interesting Test team now. The top 3 are making progress. I think the one piece that's missing is a proper keeper.
So again, we're settling into a bit of a groove here. Bowled just on a decent length, but outside of off stump, and comfortably left by Milan. So 18 without loss. The margin that they need to make up to make England bat again is 272. So that may look a long way off, but these two have set about their work reasonably well. 3 slips. There is a forward short leg, a mid wicket, a mid on, cover, extra cover, and a short third man, as this one again is left alone by Milan, and again is through to Joss Butler, and that concludes Stuart Broad's 4th over of the innings.
I've got
None for 3.
a slight technical point, because we've seen a couple of balls keeping a little bit low and England bowling quite a full length. So that leave that we saw there from Milan, where he just sort of stood on his crease, and yeah, exactly, shouldered arms, Jace, as you say, with his arms aloft. Got to be a bit careful of that. I would suggest that you've got to be getting a bit of a stride in these conditions to cover up that off stump, and I think we might see one or two players coming a cropper if they don't do that.
I think because it's going to soften the wicket, even if it has been covered, it's going to sweat it a little bit underneath, and will soften it up a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be
you're going to need to
interesting.
bowl a bit fuller.
Yeah, that's right. But then if you continue to leave the ball like that, or basically not take a stride forward, you're allowing the bowlers to bowl
Wood is
that.
coming in again around the wicket, and he's removed the off stump of Elgar, who absolutely played all around it. England have their first wicket. Elgar just looks baffled, befuddled, confused, and he had the look about him there of Mike Gatting, and after the
Yeah.
after the Warne delivery, he just looks back and he thought, how on earth did that happen? Wood really just slanted the ball into him. Did it move appreciably? Not really. It went on. Oh, he took a slight edge, and his off stump went cartwheeling backwards. Wood really put his back into that, and it was edged by Elgar onto his off stump. Wood is punching the air and clenching his fist in.
Slight correction, I think. I think he's been beaten for pace there with the trying to get
Yeah.
the defensive shot in.
I think
in,
that's
in
fair
front of
enough.
his stump, and he's hit his front pad and cannon.
Oh, you
onto
think
the stump.
pad?
Yeah.
I thought he'd edged it as well.
I
Tone, I
thought
must
he edged
confess.
that well. Grubby and I saw one thing. The eagle eyes of Jason G saw something else. So
Let's find out when
we
they do a
shall
super slow.
Yeah, we will.
find out with the super slow-mo.
In
But
the
the first
meantime-
wicket has fallen.
On your bike, mate.
Well, the first wicket has indeed gone. Dean Elgar couldn't find the appropriate variations to keep that one out,
Oh.
and he has sashayed his way back to the pavilion rather disconsolately.
That's a good start. We've already got rid of one of the main limpets that we wanted to remove.
Well, we've seen, 3 or 4 spectacular bowls, haven't we, already, in the limited play we've had so far today, and there is nothing more thrilling to see. Leah's back with us, by the way. She says, I especially like the fact that Sri Lanka used a round-armed death bowler, as is good.
Oh, we
a
were
Lankan
commenting.
tradition.
We were commenting.
I
on
mean,
him.
look, an absolute. If you've not
It
been
was Mini
following,
Malinga.
yeah, if you've
It
not been
was-
following the under-19s game between India and Sri Lanka, then I don't know the fella's name, but he's a carbon copy of Lasith.
Zubia Hamza, anyway, the young Zubia Hamza, who has just 4 tests to his name thus far. Well, this is his 5th. As that's one's left and is through, and that really came through at a lick. It'll be very interesting to see the speed of that one. But Wood, who's been quite proud, I think, generally, that he's been outgunning Jofra Archer in the speed gun stakes. We've just seen that the Wood dismissal again, and I'm still now not sure. Here is the one that will tell us,
Well, look,
or will it?
I don't want to toot my own horn, or do I? Hang on.
I'm not sure many of us would want to, Drubby. To be
Well,
fair, but-
it might be left to me then. But what was I saying? Literally a ball before that about if they don't get a little stride in or a significant stride in, they might leave themselves open to that sort of dismissal. And
you're absolutely right.
there we are. Point for me.
As that one is short, and Hamza is down on his haunches, and it's up through to Joss Butler at shoulder height.
Peter
Goodness
Lloyd.
me. 10, made just 10 in the first innings, didn't he? He was one of Don Bess's early
Yeah, hung around for a
victims.
bit, didn't he? And
Yeah, he
gave it
did,
away,
but
yeah.
went for 10 and was caught at forward short leg by Ollie
Oh.
Pope. And Wood has really got the... he's whipping the horse now and galloping in with some real intent.
Yeah, his withers are up. Or
which
something.
which is hard to tell from this view of the TV screen, but we'll take your word for it. In comes Wood, and that one is worked away around the corner, but not especially convincingly. Is that Zach Crawley, who's down there at
Leg gully.
sort of leg gully? Yes, indeed.
Peter Lloyd is guilty as charged as a pedant, and I meant it very much as a compliment rather than an insult.
Yeah, no, I did know. Literally, as I said it, I knew. Well, actually, I know there are some parts of the world, probably predominantly India, that I would think of
We won't dwell on it.
that have the half-hour difference, but
And Leah
once
says,
I couldn't unsay it.
Leah says, what's up with the umpires calling no balls on the field? That's just not cricket. We must adhere to the time-honoured tradition of the TV ump checking.
Well, Leah, I'm with you, and I don't understand why they have to rely on that one. Is off the pad, off the leg pad, in fact, of Hamza going around the corner once more. The leg gully does the job.
Give a few shout outs to people on Crick Tracker.
1.
Beg your pardon, Tony. Santosh Singh, hello to you. Mohammed Siam, Asik Diwana, and Stephen Pirry, who says nice. Nice. Jazz Club. And then over on YouTube we have Alan Turfmore. Too early in UK for wine, he says in capital letters.
Not in Grubby Land, it's not.
It's definitely past midday.
It is.
And Dan De Castro as well, hello to you.
Hello, Dan, again. Oh, and that one's away past the leg stump. Would have been a leg side wide. No such thing in the proper game. Butler does a very tidy job. I'm going to make a point of every time Josh Butler does something well, I'm going to make sure it's recorded.
Good man yourself. I've not walked away from him. I mean, I still love him dearly, and every time I gaze into his eyes, which is frequently, I kind of melt.
Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, I am very much in the Folkes is the best wicketkeeper in the country, and like any cricketer, Josh is not justifying his place, I don't think, at the moment. However, I don't intend to bang on about it, and that was a very tidy take.
He's not doing a particularly bad job. I mean, he's got 2,000 runs at 37.
Well, this is the thing. The last 18 months or so, he's right towards the top of Test run scorers for England. He's probably second only behind Root, I think.
No, I'm not sure of many other people who could go and slot into that place who've got
Mark Wood's coming over the wicket to the right-hander, but forward he comes and just it's away to point, and there's no run. So South Africa, of course, following on. Peter Malan is at the crease. He's on 1. Hamza yet to get off the mark from the 5 he's faced, and that deficit still to 72. If England get 1 or 2 more, that'll look a long way off, Jason.
He's looking very watchful because he's got 1 off 29 at the moment.
And the ball's keeping a bit low.
And the ball is keeping a low. Broad, he's charging in. 3 slips go down. That's a decent ball, but left by Milan once more.
We saw
tidily, compactly, professionally pouched by the wicketkeeper Josh Butler.
We saw a close-up of Faf du Plessis on the South African balcony a few moments ago, and I was struck by his hair. It's quite high, isn't it? I think he's going bald, by the way. I think he's making the most of it while he's got it. Obviously, he'll be doing those ads with Warne and Gooch and Vaughan, won't he, soon? But
well, he may not. Some people
don't.
Some people just
don't take the ad man's shilling.
Like to go grey or bald gracefully. That one swung in a little bit, I think, to Milan. But following Jason's advice, he got that front foot forward, which Elgar, of course, failed conspicuously to do, didn't he? So that was a nicely played indeed.
Dan De Castro, who I mentioned a moment ago, makes the odds as follows now, following that rain break. South Africa 0%, draw 40%, and us, or the Poms as he calls us, 60% therefore.
Well, yeah, as we said in our early morning tweet, as our weight and Broad is in and left again by Milan. There's 3 factors at play here. There's the 2 teams and the weather. And the weather, I think, very much in England's thinking in terms of enforcing the follow-on, because they realise that their time to close the game out could be impacted by the meteorological conditions.
Of the actual play, when they've managed to get on the pitch, they've been absolutely ruthless today.
Well, they have, although I think
2 full
we
sessions.
all feel that South Africa didn't help themselves this morning. So those 3 slips go down again and again. It's left comfortably outside of the off stump by Milan and through to Josh Butler.
Leah says he, referring to the Slinger Malinga style bowler we saw in the under-19, says he's not a carbon copy of Malinga. He needs to put on about £100 to get there.
Fair enough.
The head is very different.
Different hair, different body shape.
The
very
action,
similar action.
The action, though, is remarkably similar.
And you can't, I mean, you don't coach that action. Therefore, it has to be an homage to the great Lasith, mustn't it? I would think.
I don't fully understand this from Arthur Patricia, but it says, this is more like it. Lara T minus 2.5 hours, you lot. A Sunday lunch and the Dom Best 10 wicket match, I guess he's saying, to fill the time in between. All right.
No, he was doing. He did. It's reference to an earlier tweet where Arthur was telling us what he was doing today, and I can't remember what it was.
Okay. Well, all sounds good though. A combination,
Yes.
a combination of lovely food and
He had
intriguing
a
cricket.
There was a lot of good things going on in the Arthur Patricia Day. I remember that, and we were just one of them. But we're delighted to be there.
Oh, we're going to get a wall of short legs here.
We are, yeah. We have a kind of a backward short leg and a forward short leg. As forward comes Milan, drops the bat on that, and it's a way to cover. So neither of those short legs were required to move in any way at all.
Nestle boy is with
And it's
us.
the end of the over.
So it just says, I'm going to say it in an Irish accent for no reason. Ah, all right. That's what he says. Hiking fan Andre says, can someone find Faf some brown pants to hide the inevitable? Oh dear. Andres Louv says, this looks ominous. Maybe Faf should have come out before Hamza. I think relating to the batting order rather than any declaration of sexuality, but we don't know. Leah says, I like my death bowlers like I like my openers. Chunky. That's why I support Mumbai Indians.
Oh, fair enough.
I guess plenty to choose from there. And also the gold lame lettering and numbering, Leah. I particularly like that on the Mumbai Indians kit.
It's 482 wickets for England, Stuart Broad. He is, of course, behind only his recent partner in crime, who sadly, of course, has had to leave this tour and go home with, what was it, broken rib, wasn't it?
Yeah, he said he's never felt as much pain on a cricket pitch,
No.
Jimmy. So
584
unfortunate.
for him, both in 383.
Broad over 100 wickets behind Anderson, though.
Extraordinary.
Never going to
Wood,
overhaul that.
right arm over in and short. He's just marginally short of a length, enough to make the batsman hop. But young Hamza is the measure of it and plays it nicely out to mid-wicket.
I think he's going for the game plan he had yesterday, which didn't really work that well, which is back, and then one full Yorkerish length ball after about 12, 15 balls.
I mean, you worry maybe just a wee bit that England's view of having genuine pace is to rough up a batsman so that the other bowlers can reap the rewards in a way. In comes Wood, though. That's short and wide outside of leg stump, and frankly was horrible.
Yeah.
And was dismissively left alone by Hamza, and I'm not sure many of us would have done much different with that one.
No, that one go, exactly. Now, Wood's entitled to go through his own repertoire for his own ends and all the teams, isn't he? So he's perfectly, that's what he's there for. Yes, rough him up a bit, one or two short, a couple surprise Yorkers maybe, but also with his action, with his skiddy kind of method, you don't need to pitch it up too far in order to be able to be hitting the stumps, particularly in these
Yes,
conditions.
it's very hard to gauge height
Yeah.
with the delivery action.
So just a
that he
decent
has.
length, I think.
In comes Wood again, and in this one absolutely does Hamza for pace and was just the merest whisker away from taking the edge.
I just wonder whether it did take the inside edge.
Did it take the inside edge? No, it didn't. It went between bat and pad and absolutely did him neck and crop, but it missed the it missed the off stump of Hamza by the barest of margins, to borrow a phrase from, when you think of great commentary,
Yeah.
the crowd's on the pitch, they think
Yeah.
it's all over. I honestly think that the barest of margins is almost up there
And
with
the
that.
barest
I
of all
genuinely-
margins.
I think it is up there with that.
Yeah, I know we usually slate the mainstream commentary, but I would tend to agree that was great. Hendo's was good as well, I have to say. Hendo's,
Oh.
is he going to come back? He's got to come back.
Yes.
That was. If you haven't got access to the archive, by the way, 20 quid it's going to cost you for a year's subscription to all of our content.
Excellent.
And you
point.
can hear Hendo's World
Hamza
Cup commentary.
stands bat aloft. Wood is in. Hamza has to rock back as a fired up Mark Wood has this whistling past his chest. But again, you're not disturbing the stumps with those, and you're not causing him to play. And that might just be the conversation that is being had between Wood and who's that down with Wood? It's Ruti, is it?
It's Broad, isn't it? No, the Broad's
No,
are
that's
extra.
definitely not Broad. It's not tall enough to be Broad. So I can only assume it's his captain.
Yeah,
It is.
I'd say
And
so, yeah.
I just think that conversation might be
Make him
it's
play.
Hit the
keeping them
stumps.
make him
Yeah,
play.
stumps.
I'm not there, so I can't vouch for the fact that that's 100% true, but that might be what I would be saying.
Nestle boy has lost a fight with some bedding.
There's more people coming in the slips to get a bowl of fuller length.
Here we go. Well, there we go. Indeed. So we now have. Well, no, we still have what, 2 slips, a gully. No, 3 slips and a gully. Yeah, one a sort of a wide 4th slip, and Mark Wood there pushes it in towards the middle and leg, And Hamza turns it around to the man who's under the lid there. I assume that's Ollie Pope, who's made that position his own. Certainly did while Dom Bess was claiming his fifer.
Well, they've had several
there's no
good
run.
short legs recently. They've had Bess, they've had Crawley's no mug at short leg.
And little James Taylor.
Well,
years
that's
back.
going back a long way to the
Yeah.
last tour. But I
Yeah.
mean, between then you've had Burns, who's been under there, who's
Keaton.
not bad. Keaton
Keaton,
Jennings. They've all been very handy out of the lid.
Wood in again. And up. Nicely played. Beautifully played, in fact. Hamza off the back foot. Steers this away through extra cover. It may not go all the way because Joe Denley has thundered after it and put in a good throw.
Yes, our very own Nestle boy has.
And but they will have taken
Yes.
3. I
Was
would
it 3?
imagine. Yes, no,
Oh,
2. 20
2,
for 1, end of the over.
Yeah, Nestle boy has lost a fight with some bedding. I'll explain. He says, I was thinking about coming in today, but saw the weather forecast and couldn't be asked. The duvet won the battle, he says. You've been
Oh, I
beaten
see.
by some soft furnishing, Nestle boy. I think you should look at yourself very closely. Arthur Patricia says, if this got lost in the rain delay, I'll boost it again, if that's okay. So it's Arthur Patricia saying,
Yes.
another tweet from previously, with you for the afternoon session, then off to the to Queen's Film Theatre for a screening of Brian Lara movie, 501 Not Out.
That's what it was.
Including a Q&A with director who goes by the Twitter handle Iconic Director. I don't know who that is, I'm afraid, but any Gorilla Folk adjacent, come by. So I'll retweet that in case you want to join Arthur Patricia.
Well, also
that.
Arthur Patricia, by either accident or design, our 2 probably most recent guests on the show have both been players who played in that game. Paul Smith yesterday, and prior to that, of course,
Gladys,
we had Gladstone Small. Yeah. So that's 2 players who were both playing for Warwickshire as.
I wonder whether
Brian
Dougie
Lara.
Brown was playing in that game, because we've interviewed him in the past.
Well, there you go. Maybe. You
we
might want to check that.
We might have a hat-trick. I
You
will.
might want to check that.
Someone
In
can
comes
check that.
Broad, left alone outside of off stump by Milan. Probably too wide, and Broad knows that. He appears a little bit disgruntled with himself as it started wide. And although he got a bit of a way swing, it started on about 5th stump and went further away. So 20 for 1.
Couple of shouts on Crick Tracker as well. We have Saeed Afak Kazmi, who says, hello boss, great job. God
That's
bless
very
you.
kind and welcome indeed.
South Africa fan. Bola Nat Paul says hi. Narashima Reddy says India and Oz ODI score please. We'll give that in a moment. Shafiq Siddiqui says India lose today. Hello to all of you.
As it comes Broad. And that one's dabbed straight to short third man. Is that Joe Denley? I think it might be. But it ensures there is no run.
Interesting, isn't it, that Narasimha Reddy is asking us to give the score for India, Australia, using a platform that's widely available on the internet, and not doing that work for themselves.
He sounds like my kind of listener. So engaged in
What, bloody
this.
lazy?
Yeah. Well, there's that as well.
Bone idle.
In comes Broad and on the drive, but driven straight to extra cover by Milan. He puffs out his cheeks and adjusts his helmet.
He's looking very compact. You know.
He
He's
does.
playing the ball very late. He's
Yeah.
got soft hands.
Under his nose, yeah.
I'm
Indeed.
liking the look of Milan.
Yeah, exactly what you
18.
need in these situations.
I
18
mean, I
in
know
the
he's
first
there
innings.
for basically because Markram is injured, but I think Markram and Milan
Markham's having a shocking run of form.
might be a medium term pair.
What did he do in Cape Town? 5 and 84, didn't he, if I recall? As that one is back on the drive, and it was well hit Stuart Broad's boot and sort of deflected away, so they're able to take 2. And I'm not sure Broad wanted to get any part of his anatomy on that, because it was thumped back at him.
Yeah.
pretty
He's
hard.
going for the off the boot toe, wasn't he?
Well, if it was, it would have been purely inadvertent on his part.
He got it
because,
to
I think it was just hit
135
too
degrees
hard.
wrong.
So that deficit for South Africa comes down by 2. They are 22 for 1, and they trail by 268. Milan on 3, who is facing Hamza, his partner, on 2.
Fortunately, some other people on Crick Tracker have given Narasimha
Excellent.
that score.
As that one is a better ball from Broad, and it started off just outside of off, moved in to Milan, and he paid it about 3/4 of the way, probably up his off stump. Nicely tucked in behind it, textbook defence.
Our very own David Brook from next door says we're back on air after the rain break. Thanks, David.
Fantastic. There's news.
That wicket
a
of the-
pandygram has just been handed around the door.
Yep, it's to do with the last wicket. I'll give it you in a moment.
Oh, okay. 2 slips for Broad. Oh, that was a good ball. It did keep slightly low and it hurried Milan a little bit. Went rather squirtily to point.
Maybe I'll make this into a question.
Okay.
So Mark Wood obviously bowled Dean Elgar a couple of overs ago, and it's his first Test wicket since snaring whom?
His 5th wicket at St Lucia, which would have been
Yeah, it would have been in the West Indies, wouldn't it?
Holder.
Nope.
Roach.
Shy Hope. It
Shy
was Shy
Okay.
Hope. Yeah. Oh, okay. So he got the 5 for in the first innings and 1 wicket in the second innings. Knackle, thank you.
Okay. But it was Shy Hope.
It was.
So that was his last Test
So
wicket. And when was
almost
that?
a full year ago. Good 11
I was
months
gonna say,
ago.
was
That.
February?
11 months to the day, in fact, I
I
think.
was going to say February sounds about right, doesn't
Oh.
it, timing-wise?
Also, if anyone's listening who knows how to get us pizza, please send
Well,
us pizza. We're
Mark
very hungry.
Wood is in, and there's a big shout
Come
from
on!
inside Strangle. I think he's gone. Oxenford thought about it, shook his head, and with a wry smile, finally raised his finger. It's a leg side strangle. Hamza has gone for just 2. Wood has his second victim, so having gone wicketless in the first, he's making up for lost time. That additional pace, bounce, carry and general fierceness that they're looking to him, and they actually cut his fingers across that and it moved back in, and just the faintest of tickles was enough. Joss Butler competently and efficiently did the rest.
That's by the barest of all margins.
I was trying to avoid saying that again, but fair enough.
Well, can I give you another one then?
Richie Beno time. 22 for 2. Zubia Hamza faced 12 balls, but he was done by a leg side strangle. Although leg side strangles always sound as though it's bad luck on the batsman and not particularly well by the bowler. In that particular instance, that ball started outside of his leg stump and really came back in and almost forced him to play. So I think it would be unkind of Mark Wood to give the suggestion that there was any fortune in that wicket. It bowled at pace, the ball moved, Hamza really was befuddled by it and felt he had to play, and Joss Butler, as we said, did the rest.
Yeah, it's the equivalent, isn't it, of getting out, nicking one outside your off stump. In that case, he was beaten on the inside edge, not the outside edge.
Yeah.
And it was perfectly legitimate and not a lucky dismissal. I agree with that.
So let's not call it a leg side strangle, let's call it a leg side dismissal. So it is going to bring, anyway, the South Africa, somewhat perhaps a little beleaguered South African captain who was glaring daggers earlier on this morning when he saw the various range of pretty dreadful shots that his
when he saw
final 4 batsmen managed to play.
when he saw his rapidly receding hairline.
Well, there's that as well. Well, he's got a high forehead as well, which of course
That's
is,
one word for it.
which is a sign of intelligence. His average is 40, just over 40. 21 50s, 900s, and the best of 137, which he got versus New Zealand in 2013 at Port Elizabeth.
I think that's the same as Alan Lamb's top Test score. Someone can prove me right or wrong.
I think you're right.
That's interesting that you carry that stat around in your head. 22 for 2 anyway, England. It's so hard to not think of the great man in his beige suit when you say a score like that. Mark Wood's going to be in again. He's in to du Plessis, and that's a good ball, and du Plessis, as if he wanted to play a shot that would be photographed and shown to any aspiring batsman. How do you play a forward defensive? Then there it was. It was show the bowler the maker's name.
Yeah, just a scratch and the telltale look behind as well. As he went past.
He knew it. I don't think there was any.
I think they
any
all
thought
knew
of a
it.
review. He knew he'd nicked it.
Well, and I think the wry smile on the face of Bruce Oxenford was quite interesting as well.
Very
It
much
was
like a
also
referee issuing a yellow card.
Yes,
saying,
it
I
was.
don't want to do this, but I've got to.
It's a thank you for making my
In
life
comes
easy.
Wood. One slip is in place, and one first slip, one fourth slip, and a gully. But that one again is solidly met by du Plessis.
Almost as if du Plessis has been watching the game and knows that you need to get a stride in on this pitch in these conditions.
A, he needs to get some runs. B, he needs to play a captain's knock, and a captain's knock will
And
keep South with the weather. See, not just rely on Quentin de Kock.
See, he
If
needs
you
a
want to
jingle.
see- Oh, he needs a jingle, yeah.
Life goes on, right? La 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 la, life goes on.
Dr. Leonie Hicks says, afternoon all. I'm glad that play is resumed and my plan of a couple of hours relaxing cricket.
And that one was a very sort of strange tennis bally bounce over Faf du Plessis' head, and poor Joss Butler didn't take that quite so cleanly, but it was a bit of a
90
weird
miles
delivery.
an hour.
Well, it was a 90 mile. If it was a 90 mile an hour ball, and it pitches and it's up. Oh no, we're looking
That's
at
the wicket,
We're
yeah.
looking at the wicket again. I was going to say
Anyway,
that didn't look like the ball I'd just watched.
Dr. Leonie Hicks is very pleased that the plan of relaxing cricket, setting up for the coming week, is still on. Thanks for the commentary. Thanks
Well,
for being there, Leonie.
We have been, as this one is on the drive by du Plessis, but driven straight to Stuart Broad at extra cover, and there is no run. Was Dr. Leonie Hicks's? This is Dr. Leonie Hicks's work.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, you know, we have been using the beautiful tea-cosy cricket jumper to wrap around the central
Except Tony.
missionary microphone.
Tony, at the start of this session,
He likes
Well, I
commentating.
disrobed.
Well,
Disrobed
I,
the
commentating
mic.
in the
I
nude.
prefer my microphones naked, but others prefer them sort of teasingly dressed in a loose-fitting cricket jumper. It's a,
Could
it's
have
a
at
matter of personal
Could have at
choice.
least knitted some sleeves, Leonie.
As in comes Wood, full, and actually too full. It's a full toss. Du Plessis flicks it away past that four-slip all the way for 4 runs.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
So angled his bat. It was a very deliberate shot, and he knew there was no third man down there. And I'm afraid that was money for old rope,
Yep.
really. Not one of Mark Wood's better balls.
Leah, who's obviously multi-screening, says Rohit Sharma with a strike rate north of 100 before crossing 20 in an ODI. Beefy voice. What is going on?
What is going off out there? What is going off out there?
Bit of
26 for 2, 264 the deficit. We're in the second session of a rain-interrupted 4th day, but at the moment, thank goodness, we have play, and we are going to see the Duke of the Duck Pond End himself, Dominic Bess, the man who took 5 wickets yesterday for 51. It was actually an interesting kind of innings. So it was almost like the reverse of many innings that you might expect. Normally, you would expect your top 5 to go to pace bowlers, and probably they're in a first innings, and the spin bowler comes on towards the end. Whereas in this particular instance, Bess took the first 5 wickets, and the seam bowlers cleaned up the last 5. Anyway, he skips in, and nicely forward goes Peter Malan. Ball rolls away to cover.
It's Dominic Bess. Selected
He's in again, gives this some air and flight, and there's a big shout. I think that
Straight off
just
the
came
pad,
off
I
the
think.
pad. It was. And Ollie Pope, though, felt like his missed catch number 4 for me off the bowling of Dom Bess. The one thing, of course, he'd gone to that spin. Yes, you're right, Jason. But flight and guile, that's what he's been trading in. And that was nicely played by Malan away into the offside. Of course, that spin clinic that he attended with Harath in Sri Lanka appears to have added new depth and dimension to his game, doesn't it? As this one is met by Malan, fairly full. Apparently he's not slow to
Chirp.
talk about and chirp his success, though, is Dom Bess. He's a lively lad by all accounts. Certainly the cricket watching public will be quite endeared by his efforts so far. Forward comes Malan, away into the offside, no run. 1 ball left, and I think after this ball there'll be a change of commentators. I saw Steve and David B. So forward comes Malan. Again, it's away into the offside. Again, there's no run. It's the end of that best over, 26 for 2, and we will have a little change in the commentary box.
We need your
Alternative cricket commentary. Bringing you laughs, bringing you jingles. bringing you joy. We are Gorillas. We need your... Patreon.com/Gorilla Cricket.
26 for 2. If you can hear me as well as I can hear myself. And
I can hear you.
Oh, that's good. Stevie J to my left, Grubster to my right.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And it's
Hey up.
Brooker 2, aka David Brooke here. And England, South Africa just trading by 264. This and here comes Wood, and he bowls to Plessy, who dumps underneath that. And well, great to see. Great to see the paceman firing,
Isn't it? Yeah, I mean, and we've seen a lot of dismissals, thrilling dismissals today, where stumps have been cartwheeling all over the place. We've seen middle stumps plucked from the ground, leaving the off and the leg one standing and untouched. Really thrilling sights in all forms of cricket, those. And obviously, as an England supporter, that's it's particularly gratifying at the moment. Quite gloomy, isn't it, in Port Elizabeth?
not like Sydenham. Mark Wood bowls wide of the crease, and Du Plessis back foot plays that one down. Yeah, the last time I saw Mark Wood was actually his last Test match, which was the one I was lucky enough to be in St. Lucia for that. And
an extended stay in the Caribbean, didn't you?
Well, it was. His spell that day was the actually bowled cricket's ball ever delivered by an England bowler since the invention of the speed gun, because he was faster than Steve Harmison's delivery. Yeah.
Wow, there we are.
And he bowled a terrific spell that day after being, that was the first time he played in that series, and here he is making his first appearance of this series. Here he comes now, and that's left wide. It's wide outside the off stump. How many Test wickets do you reckon he's got? Let's have a little guess. What's the closest? Stevie J and Grubby. Let's have a little guess here. How many Test match wickets would he?
He's only in his 14th game, isn't he? So I think he's got, I'm going to guess, 42 Test wickets.
Stevie J?
28.
36. Should have thrown that out to
Bang
the
in the
listeners.
middle,
Really,
I
was just closest.
I think you were close.
I should really have thrown that out to the listeners. Apologise there to the Twitterati. Well, you'd have been spot on.
All right.
Absolutely.
Oh, there you
right
go.
now.
38 including
Thank you,
today's. I was
Mr.
even closer. It's not even a contest.
AKA Mr. Pedant has come in with the two from today. You're absolutely right, though. Absolutely right.
Mr.
38.
Correct.
Down the leg side, fired in by Wood. That's not going to get a wicket bowling there. And Du Plessis
But
gets a nice sighter.
It didn't over 2 ago, didn't it? When he got them
the
inside edge. Yeah. But as we were saying, Dave, you know, that's a legitimate dismissal. He's beaten him for pace. It's a ball he doesn't need to play at.
Knuckle, could you just bring me in a wine glass so I can just share the experience with Gobby? I hate to see a man drinking alone. And some small pieces of cheese.
But So, 26 for 2. South Africa in all sorts of trouble here. You feel that England, with 2 clear sessions of play, have probably got this game won.
Well, will there be 2 clear? I mean, I'm not an expert in the weather, but will there be 2 clear sessions? That's the question. Here's Wood. That's back foot goes to Plessis, finds the gap. Nice shot on the back foot, and that is going to be pulled in just inside the boundary. Will it? No, it makes it the dive from Joe Denley to no avail as it goes for a boundary. Got in time with the
such wonderful professionalism.
The glass of Reno. And cheers to you, Grubster.
Sean T on Twitter. Mr. Brooke making the TV commentator error of wearing a green top in front of a green screen. And actually sending a picture, so you can have a look.
It is actually a
the disembodied head of David Brooke.
Schoolboy error. I'm going to have to remove the green top. You're absolutely right. It is. It's like check shirts.
Just before you do that, you do have something underneath, don't you?
Check shirts on the BBC. I do. Here's Wood coming in off a pretty long run up as he's remodelled his run up. That came back off the seam, and in the end, it was a good leave by Du Plessis on the grounds of height, but not on the grounds of line, because that was straight over the off stump, Grubster.
Yeah, Faf du Plessis. His pink trim, he has pink trim on his gloves, on his bat. His pink trim really singing out in this rather gloomy light at Port Elizabeth.
That was right over the off stump. That one, beautiful off cutter, wasn't it? Great ball.
We've been saying this
and quick.
Yeah, that the ball is keeping a little bit low, and certainly with Wood's well advertised skiddy method, you leave at your peril, I think, as a batsman. And certainly when Faf first came in, his first 2 balls, he took a noticeably deliberate stride down the pitch to try and counter some of that potential to keep low for the ball. So I think the batsman's got to be very careful of that at the moment.
So the good news is our commentator has taken the green top off. You now can see him.
South Africa 30 for 2 and trailing just by 260. Here's Dom Bess. Gives that one some flight, and that's driven by Milan. The man with the unnecessary I in his first name.
The unnecessary I?
Yeah. Well, it's Peter, isn't he, with an I?
Oh, yeah, like Peterson, Kevin Peterson, yeah.
Not with
I thought
unnecessary.
you were talking about Dominic, wasn't it?
I thought you meant you had 3 eyes.
Yeah. Deliberately cryptic, as he plays that one out to mid-off, and there's no run. He's been there for 48 balls, and he's only got 3 runs. So it's this could be interesting for the statisticians. I'm sure Knackle will be reaching for the stats book.
Taking over Nokia's role here.
Well, but as a top order batsman, maybe should be looking to keep things moving. That's on the back foot, plays that one down. That's 49 balls. Should we give him a ripple when he gets to 50?
Yeah, we can.
Balls,
yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
30 for 2. I mean,
it could be a while for the 50 runs.
Yeah, I was listening.
Yeah, I won't queue it up just yet.
No. He waits, studying concentration as Bess bowls that one. He plays it down to the short leg fielder, but on the ground. I was listening to an interview with Alan Lamb earlier.
50 balls up.
Lammy was saying that he always liked to rotate the strike. That was his secret. Never get bogged down. Always rotate the strike. Don't let the bowlers get on top of you. But Peter Milan, well, he's only in his second test, isn't he? So he's probably not got that experience of Alan Lamb to call on. Short leg and a leg slip for him, as Best continuing with his accurate line. What a test match it's been for him. That's played down, first bounce again to is that Ollie Pope in there at short leg, and Joe Root looked like he's giving a signal to someone to come in from the leg side, and of course he was out caught and bowled in the first innings.
Very tame, wasn't it?
It was tame.
Dug one out and just lobbed it back
to this man Bess. He comes down the wicket without any great conviction, plays that to mid-wicket. So another good over from Dominic Bess. That's his second maiden, and yet to score a run off him at the end of that over. South Africa 30 for 2, trailing by 260. Steve.
A man asking a very pertinent question. Why is du Plessis ranked higher than Joe Root in the ODI rankings? That's probably because he scored more runs. He's a better batsman.
Better recent record.
And English.
The only thing I can think of. No, did you say du Plessis is higher than Root, did you say?
Yeah, du Plessis is ranked higher than Joe Root in the ODI rankings.
He must be. I mean, South Africa had a disastrous World Cup.
I know there are damn lies and statistics, but typically with batting averages, it tends to be weighted runs and stuff.
Is that a ranking that you're referring to?
Yeah.
You said it with the Jonathan Ross R. Change
of bowling.
I always find those rankings difficult to actually know how they've arrived at this. There is a change of bowling,
just in case
a significant one.
Just in case any kids are listening, it's the censored version.
Yes.
I got up in Stokes, and he called me a. Oh, if I'd only seen that Ben Stokes was so mean. And he called me up, said he'd punch my said I made him. The looked up and said,
here he is, he bowls. That Ben Stokes gets some lift from that. That comes off the body of du Plessis, and they go through for 2 runs. Is it 2 runs or 2 leg byes?
I think it runs actually.
So yes, that wasn't Grubby doing the censorship there. It was that jingle came pre-censored.
It did. We very rarely play the uncensored one, although we have.
Thank God for that.
We have done it at 3 in the morning before.
The thing is, if it's 3 in the morning
sometimes
here,
by accident.
It may
no,
be
I know. I'm not
in
saying
the middle of the morning.
We don't have our own watershed or anything like that. Anyway, I think the censored body's funnier.
Here's Stokes, and outside the off stump. Well, again, du Plessis is either a very good judge of line, or he's living dangerously. That was another leave that passed very close to the stumps. And again, it was the bounce that took it over off stump. It certainly kept the bowler interested and the wicket-keeper. Yeah, I always think that censored versions are often better than the unexpurgated.
Well, it is because some of the words that he bleeps out, that's a Mog jingle in case you didn't know, are quite inoffensive words. That makes it funnier for me.
Yes, indeed. Stokes to Duplessis on the back foot. He finds the gap. There's a chase here for Joe Denley, who does a sliding stop, and they go through for 2 runs. Well run. So Duplessis, with some intent, goes on to 12. And, he's gone way ahead of Milan, who remains on 3. And South Africa 34 for 2. What a first half hour it was today. My God, who would have expected South Africa to fold so tamely? Grubster, you were on the commentary stint for that first half hour.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of... I was just amazed listening. I was on my way in listening to Guerrilla Cricket at the time. And, having teed up South Africa as a team that fights... And, they're going to put up a fight. Must have been a great surprise to you. Back foot goes Duplessis, no run.
I don't think they're a very good test team at the moment, South Africa. I think that there's a combination of trying to find new players to establish in certain positions, the openers and in the middle order. You've got players like Philander, who's playing his last test match, his last test match series, who's going to be going off into the sunset. Rabada, who is and can be a world beater. They're just not gelling as a team. I think they're a poor test team at the moment.
Here's Stokes outside the off stump, and Duplessis leaves it. Well, they certainly came into this series with so much chaos behind the scenes that it was... I think they surprised everyone by winning the first test, because you'd have said that given the chaotic nature of what's been happening in South African cricket administratively, and then perhaps getting an immediate benefit from bringing in the likes of Boucher and Graham Smith, obviously, and Jack Callis. But yeah, they seem to have gone.
As we were
Here's Stokes outside the off stump. That's well left by Duplessis.
So as we were discussing during the rain break, one thing England don't do is get an awful lot of practice matches in before they start. And our record in first test matches in away series is absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
So probably the time for the South Africans to have played us.
I'm going to do this while Peter Milan is still on 3, and he's on 3 from 52 balls now. We were asking about slowest innings. So slowest test innings of exactly 3. John Murray for England versus Australia in Sydney in 1963.
JT.
100 balls. Lindsay Tuckett for South Africa against Australia, Durban 1948. He was not out, however. 79 balls. And Chandu Sawate, India against Australia in Sydney in 1947. 73 balls. So, he's going to be in rarefied company soon. Old Milan, if he doesn't score a run of his next 20 odd balls. Let's see. Let's hope he doesn't.
Indeed. Here's Best back for his third over, and that's played down on the leg side by...
Is it me, or does he look like Jason Gillespie? Is that why he can't bat?
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, he's got a little bit of that about him.
Milan.
Little message from Leia.
Here's Best. He's got Milan really tied down here. Milan comes down the wicket, but thrusts the pad. More in hope than precision as the ball balloons off. And, Dominic Best is... how would you describe that facial
much
gesture?
About that, did he? Didn't know much about that.
It was hands to head and a knowing smile towards the batsman.
Knowing smile, sharp
deliberately.
Dominic Best, who gave a very good interview on Super Sports
Speaks
coverage
well,
at the end,
well,
or Sky
it?
Sports at the end of the day yesterday. Yeah, refreshingly uncensored in his comments. Back foot goes Milan, and there's no run. Mike Atherton asked him a great question, which was, what was it like playing Test match cricket for England 1 minute and then Somerset's second 11 the next? It's a really good question.
He does it with that air of insouciance, doesn't
indeed.
he, Atherton?
I'll tell you in a moment what happened. And Milan waits for this one from Best. He's got the stranglehold on Milan. That's well fielded at backward short leg by the skipper Joe Root. Yeah, he said that having Marcus Trescothick there in the twos sort of kept him going, and you can see the benefit of having those experienced players in second team cricket. You don't see that so much these days.
Half Trescothick's age.
In fact, Trescothick was fielding at short leg, he said, most of the time. That's back foot goes Milan, and they take a single. And
that's the end of that record.
Is throwing his stats away. For those of you listening on radio, and not the benefit and the visual medium. Grubby has, well, he's so angry he could crush that piece of paper.
Stu Francis, wasn't it? I could crush a grape.
Crush a
I
tissue.
could jump off a doll's house.
You spotted it.
I did, yeah. Cracker Jack early 80s, you won't get me on those references, mate.
Well, I know you're a swiping middle order batsman. Swiping middle order. Here's Bess to give down the leg side. Duplessis tries to turn it on the leg side, comes off Joe Root's knee, and Bess acknowledges the efforts from the skipper. And Duplessis rehearses the shot he wished he'd played, but had a lot more wrist about it. But as it is, there's no run.
That's right,
Ended
Dave.
that over from Best, 1 run from his 3 overs. South Africa 35 for 2.
Those were the days when swipe left meant a big old sweep into the leg side.
Yes.
And caught as well.
Yes.
Lair says, time for Faf and Peter, with an I, to find their inner Dravidian Laxman, methinks. And the Beijing Ducks Cricket Club have sent a beautiful picture showing a lovely afternoon in the North Yorkshire suburb of Beijing while listening in.
North Yorkshire suburb of Beijing.
Do you know that's how I discovered guerrilla cricket? Was during my spell in China, in Shanghai. Was listening to guerrilla cricket when I was starved of BBC Test Match special, and realised that I was enjoying guerrilla cricket's coverage a lot more than I ever enjoyed.
Intravenously.
Yeah. Well. Oh yes. South Africa 35 for 2. Shot of Johnny Bairstow chewing on his nails in the subs bench, on the subs bench. New over from Stokes, that's short of a length, and Milan ducks underneath it. A good straight, hostile short ball.
91.
The unflappable Peter Milan, 4 from 58. Yes.
Well, talking of
91 mph.
Slow scoring innings to try and save a test match. I mean, South Africa a few years back with two of their more fluent batsmen, A.B. de Villiers and Hashim Amla, they scored single-figure scores off literally hundreds of balls each, didn't they? I don't know if you remember that one. And I think ultimately it was in vain. I think they lost the match.
Here's Stokes, and that's well pitched up. It swung a little, and it's left alone by Milan, and there is no run. He's moved on, as you say, with that run to 4, breaking the failing to break the previous record.
Yeah, that's chopped liver or screwed up paper.
Hello to Arnu Panier, who's sent me a WhatsApp saying, good to hear you again on the wireless, so to speak. All the best.
How do you know Arnu?
I'm trying to work that out. Formerly of Fawley Towers, Ebury Street, Victoria. Ah, yes, it's all coming back to me now, Arnu. Stokes coming on off a, it's looked like a longer run there, but he can't be. He's outside the off stump, and that's good length left by Milan, and there is no run. Stokes didn't. Joe Root hasn't taken as long to bring Stokes into the attack this time. Surely he waited too long, Grubby, in the first.
I think you're right. I think you're right, mate. Yeah,
first innings.
Yeah, and interesting that ball, which was good length as well. He is known, in contrast to someone like Wood, who's skiddier. Stokes is known as a kind of a hit the deck bowler, isn't he? He has various modes, but he can hit the deck, and that one was a decent length delivery, and it did actually demonstrate some good carry through to the keeper on that occasion. So
it's
difficult.
Stokes again. That's right on target, and Milan's glad he got a bat on that one, because that would have been cannoning into the stumps if he hadn't. And Stokes, of course, had that wonderful bowling spell in the last innings of the last Test match when he came on and made something happen right at the critical time.
Is there nothing he cannot do?
Well, take catches and slip.
Well, only yesterday.
Off the spinners.
Yeah, he had a shocker yesterday, he would say.
Is he as effective at slip to the spinners as he is
usually?
Back?
I think so.
I'd say usually, yeah.
Just trying to find a weakness in his armory there.
Yeah.
No, it was a poor
The
day
glorious
for him yesterday,
uncertainty of Test cricket, the fact that a hero can make that mistake. Again, that's spot on target, a little bit fuller, and Milan jabs a bat down on it. He's got no intention of rotating the strike or doing anything other than just occupying the crease at the moment. 62 balls for his 4. Is this one of the slowest 4s of all time, Will Webster?
So maybe someone can update my screwed up piece of paper there. I don't know.
Neckel will be in a second.
Steve and Dave, I was going to ask, talking about slip fielding and Stokes, do you have a favourite slip fielder of all time at all?
Me.
Give you a moment to think about that.
I was always at first
You?
slip. Yeah, I was always at first slip. Used to love it.
Ben Stokes and bowls. That's on the back foot. Oh yes.
But I would certainly have both of them up there. Freddie was pretty good in the slips as well.
End of the over from Stokes. He's 2 overs for 4, and South Africa 35 for 2. Of course, Stevie, you were very modest about your cricketing.
Well, he wasn't
ability.
just then.
Well, no.
He put himself number 1 in the all-time slip fielders.
No, well, that
list.
is true. You've had a change.
No, at my school.
But you did have a trial for Sussex.
No, that I saw.
You had a trial for Sussex, you know. Is that true?
It's very good.
Correct.
Very good.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
How did
hit
the
his
try
light-
then?
Many
Yeah,
minutes ago.
you're right. He hit his light under a bushel. But
Well, I
that
never,
was
I never
last test
played.
match.
Okay.
The trial went well actually, but nothing ever came.
Ah, shame. Good. High standard.
Hope it was as
Good fun.
interesting as the trial of Christine Keeler. You watching that?
That's
one?
brilliant, isn't it?
No?
It's fantastic.
That good?
Yeah.
Salem Witch Trials. That was another good one.
Oh yes. Stalin's
Are you
trial.
enjoying it, Christian Killer?
I am.
Yeah.
What
it's
the
very well done.
dramatisation's great. Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
James-
And
As much
James-
as John Profumo.
yes. No. Yeah. The
Well,
dramatisation.
He enjoyed it.
Ben Miles as John Perfumo is fantastic.
Well, I think she's
isn't it?
brilliant as Christine
Sophie
Keller.
Cookson.
Sophie
yeah, she's
Cookson,
gorgeous.
she's
yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
Really gorgeous.
Here's Dom Best now into the attack and gives that one some air. Sorry, continuing, I should say, on his spell. This is his fourth over, just one run off him. Well, Dom Best. Last time he played Test cricket, of course, before this series, he was he started with the bat. This time he's been virtually runless, one run from 3 innings, but
Yeah.
he's doing what he's
3 overs.
there to do, and he bowls, and there's no run. I beg your pardon, Stevie.
Sorry, you're talking about his batting or his bowling?
Yeah, his
Sorry.
batting.
Batting, sorry, right.
Yeah, just one run from 3 innings.
I thought
He
you
didn't
were
get a
talking about his
pair.
current figures.
He got a pair in the
Yeah,
last test.
he
But
absolutely did.
what I'm saying is, that doesn't matter. He's doing what he's employed to do. He's there to bowl and to take wickets, and obviously preferred to Parkinson. He wasn't in the original squad. Back foot goes Duplessis. That was a bit ungainly. It was almost played it while he was moving and reversing backwards. Joe Root's on his knees at leg slip.
It hurried him a bit, I think.
Is he going to field? He's going to field on his knees. Joe Root is fielding on his knees at leg slip. What a funky
Breaking
position.
news.
Breaking news. And he's right down on there. And Best for defensive goes Duplessis. This is very accurate
love
stuff
that.
This is
from
very strange,
Dominic
isn't it?
Best. It's nice to see a fielder on his knees. Joe Root, the answer to your question, Grubby, is now Joe Root is my favourite leg slip fielder because I like the fact that he's on his knees. Last person I saw this was Trescothick in his
Was
last
it?
match when he came on as a 12th man
Wow.
in his very, very last appearance for Somerset. And back foot goes Duplessis. That was, again, very accurate from Best. This is fine, well-controlled off-spin bowling here.
He'll be
And
irritated if he gets one just wide of him, won't he? He can't spring because you can't spring off your
you can't
knee
move
like
very
you can off
far
the
there,
balls
can
of your
you?
feet.
I mean,
can you?
is he taking a rest, do you think?
I mean, it looks
But he's right on
weirdly
his knees there.
sexual.
And and that's played out by Duplessis. I'm corpsing from Grubster's last comment. 35 for 2, South Africa. Hello, Grubster. Speak while I'm corpsing.
yeah, you carry on
Tell
with
us
your,
about your fantasy.
carry on with your corpsing.
Yeah,
No,
tell us-
I'll go back to my fantasy slip field. I've said many times on here, my favourite ever slip fielder is Mark Waugh. I just think he was absolutely sublime. The ball, I mean, you know, like you say,
Was he a better slip fielder than commentator, do you think?
I've not listened to much of him calling the game. Well, so yes, then probably. But you know, they say about good wicket keepers, the ball melts into the gloves. I felt the ball melted into his hands, whether he was keeping to one of the quicks, seam bowlers, or to warn. He was brilliant, and I loved him as a batsman. I loved him as a cricketer, really.
Here's Stokes. That one, it's a run for Milan. I'm sounding surprised because it's only run number 5 in 64 balls, but he's doing what South Africa want him to do, which is occupation of the crease. And on this occasion, he has rotated the strike. He's brought Duplessis back on strike with 5 balls remaining of this over. South Africa 36 for 2.
We have some great news from Twitterland.
Oh yeah, go on.
Spicy Golden Duck tweets to say, pizza's on their way, brackets I hope.
Oh, spicy golden duck.
You
What can we
superstar.
say?
And I
What
think-
can we
I
say
think
other
Dilbert-
than thank you?
Dilbert was also
thank
going to send
you,
us some.
Thank you. Ben Stokes, and
Ooh,
that's got some bounce
corker.
there. And Duplessis is up on his toes, not in control of that, puts a hand up to say there's no run there, that's for sure.
No.
But that climbed up on Duplessis, that will give Stokes some encouragement.
Mr. Brook.
And
No, I was just going to. Can you explain something to me?
please,
We've had 1 and sometimes 2 men in there at short leg,
yes.
and now when
They're on
Stokes
finish.
is deliberately targeting the armpit area, there are none.
Well, in the words of Fred Truman, I don't know what's going off out there.
Well, this is just.
I just-
this is where you want Joe on his knees.
Pick.
I just don't know- I don't know what's going off. Should have had a leg gully. That one from Stokes
wow.
jags back into Duplessis, who helpfully picks up the ball and does the fielding.
No, never do
Disobeying
that. Never
the
do that as a
Essex
batsman.
rules of
That
cricket.
hurt. That's hurt. He's
Yeah,
going to
club
do
captain.
something.
Exactly.
My
He
club
walked after
captain.
the
He's
ball. I
still,
thought-
he's still walking. Look, he
For a
doesn't.
second I thought he was
Never do
walking
that.
off. Like
As
it-
they say in Essex, that's the bowler's job.
Exactly
The
right.
fielder's job.
Completely right.
You know the 3 rules of Essex cricket, as relayed to me by my club captain
Go
down
on.
in Brighton, Chris Green, who's originally from Essex.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of them.
That's
Never
the fielder's job.
Never pick the ball up. That's the fielder's job.
100% agree.
Well, obviously the typical Essex thing: never walk until
Yep.
the bat's
Yep.
what the
Yep,
the
that's the
umpire's,
umpire's job.
Yep. And outside the off stump, du Plessis leaves that. The third one is never clap the batsman in its village. Never
Okay.
clap the batsman
Yeah.
in, which I rather like.
I rather like
tradition
that,
of,
actually.
But then that's cricket in Essex for
batsman
you.
in.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
no.
batsman
They say
in.
batsman
Yeah,
in,
do you
don't
notice
they?
how teams only do that when they're in a good position? They don't do it when the team's 168
Yeah.
for 2. You don't clap number 5 in those circumstances, do you?
I gave a child a send off in a sort of adults versus kids game at Mitcham CC over the summer. I caught one on the boundary, and this kid's probably at 12. I said jog on, and I felt really bad.
Stokes.
Did you get a demerit mark for that from the
Jumps
umpire?
out underneath him. No, don't get me
Banned from the
started
next
on
match.
the demerit point. Are you a sort of middle order swiper?
No,
Well,
I
you
was-
accused
oh,
Steve of that earlier this morning.
Did I?
Grubby.
No, it's not a
Yeah,
swiper.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
I was-
said, "Are you a middle order swiper?" Didn't you?
I don't think
He
I
called
used
me a
that.
middle order something. I can't
Yeah.
remember what the what the word was.
It's like it had ER on the end. No, I opened the batting, David. I was opening batsman, wicketkeeper, captain. Nothing if not a control
Yeah.
freak.
Quick tweet, Arthur Patricia. Joe Root's previous experience on his knees limited to convincing Bailey she should keep the captaincy. And Dilbert, I sent the pizzas to St George's Park, the Gorilla team. Enjoy.
St George's Park. What?
Who's at St George's Park?
Not Stockley Park. They'll VAR it and then they'll send it over
Yeah.
if it's valid.
Yeah.
Arnu Panier sent me a follow-up message with several icons. And hello to Amelia, who's listening to us loud and clear, blah, blah, fish, blah, blah, and fish cakes. Only Amelia will know what that means. Stokes bowls, and that's forward defensive. Goes Milan, and there's no run.
You're Amelia.
End of the over, third test, day 4, South Africa, 36 for 2. After a word from the Grubster, it will be Tony taking over on... No, sorry,
Yep,
it will be
just good.
Nakul Mpandi taking over on ball by ball with South Africa on 36 for 2.
I'll leave you in the capable hands of Rihanna.
Yep. You owe us all right. You think this alternative cricket commentary stuff comes cheap? Well, we need some dollar bills to help pay our bills. So please, go to patreon.com/GorillaCricket and sign up to make a regular monthly donation. You know there is literally nothing like Gorilla Cricket's coverage, so don't be tight. Dip into your virtual pocket and throw some cash our way. See, Rihanna knows. Patreon.com/GorillaCricket.
4 men round the back now for Dom Bess to Peter Milan, who comes down the track and smashes a full toss into the newest arrived of those 4 men, the man in at silly mid-off. He got out to a full toss, accidentally blocking it back to Bess in the first innings, and he's absolutely hammered that into the ground and bounced off the knee of Dom Sibley at silly mid-off. You can see him grimacing. And he's probably inadvertently saved 4 runs. He's in at silly mid-off, Pope's in at short leg, Ben Stokes is in at slip, and Joe Root, in a lovely Marcus Droscothic tribute, is on his knees at leg slip. Bess in over the wicket from the duck pond end to Peter Milan, who again stretches forward and pushes a single nicely up to mid-off. There is an easy one. He's 6 off 66. Du Plessis is 12 off 29 and is recovering from blows on the finger and in the unmentionables, where his triple strength box that he once had commissioned for himself is coming good. South Africa 37 for 2, trailing by 253 following on. I'm Nakul Mpande, taking you through the next half an hour on Ball by Ball. Steve Jones is to my right playing the jingles. Tony Bishop is to my left reading the social media messages. Sulimanov's gone out into the leg side somewhere for Faf du Plessis. This is tossed up outside off stump, and Faf just dropped the bat on it. Back to the ball, there is no run. Lovely for Bess now to just wheel away from one end with no with wicket taking being the only thing he has to think about.
Yes, he's ball well. He's got 3 around the bat, hasn't he?
That's fired down leg. Decent take by Jos Buttler, just testing him out ahead of Sri Lanka. Probably that, not that he'll probably we think be the keeper for Sri Lanka. Nicely taken though. There is no run. That's pretty much how he got Faf du Plessis in the first innings, when Faf tried to come down the track at him and Bess fired it in shorter, and Faf popped it up to Ollie Pope. This one turns a little bit. Faf didn't get to the pitch of that. It smothers the spin well enough, turns it round the corner to Mark Wood at short fine leg. Yeah, Sibley's gone into a sort of shortish, straightish mid-wicket. on the leg side. There's also a square leg set sort of floating mid-off and a mid-off and a cover. That's fired down the leg side, and Butler gets part of a hand to that. Was again, I think he thinks that Faf is going to come down the track at him, bowling for the stumping down the leg side. Butler tips it round the post, and they come through for a bye and a corner. South Africa 38 for 2.
Yes, well, we're joined by a number of people. John McDonald on YouTube says, discovered the existence of guerrilla cricket on the radio in the garden on day 1.
Lovely.
Enjoying the ball-by-ball commentary. The jingles are fun. Well, good to hear that. Alan Turfmore, well, I can only imagine who you must support, Alan. Waiting for the football to start before I crack them open. I'm not quite sure what that must be. Oh, a few beers.
Yeah.
A few beers.
The cans.
The cans. Linux Lear, bundle of joy, says, Mark Waugh would have been pretty shit in the slips to be worse at it than commentary. He's so stupid. Tuffers of all people managed to take the piss out of him for a good 30 minutes on air.
Mark Waugh was one of the best slip fielders there's ever been. He was absolutely astonishing. Which is weird, given he had this stance at slip where he didn't appear to be paying attention. He just sort of had his knees very close together and his hands sort of resting somewhere near them. But he was a brilliant slip fielder. But yes, he is a terrible commentator.
Dilbert says, now that Faf is approaching his first milestone, 15, do you think he'll push on to 20 or lose concentration on 19?
I was saying this in the green room. He has found some really odd ways to get out this series. He's facing up now to Ben Stokes, who's charging in from the Park Drive end. He's up past umpire Oxenford. Faf leaves alone outside off stump. There is no run. Faf du Plessis 12 of 34. Peter Milan 6 of 66. If you missed this morning, well, it all happened very, very quickly. South Africa had got themselves into a position where saving the follow-on was a realistic prospect at 208 for 6 overnight. Quinton de Kock and Werner Philander played very well. But in 4.3 overs, South Africa gifted England 4 for 1 to make the decision as to whether to force the follow-on, a completely academic one. England did, of course, enforce it. Stokes in, and Faf du Plessis tries to play 3 shots to 1 ball, and then eventually just drops it down in front of him and then seems to scream at the ball for not going to the boundary. I'm not quite sure what that was about.
I think he was asking about picking it up and fielding it again.
That's what it was. He was just saying, do you want me to field this, or are you happy doing it yourself, basically?
It's just like he fielded the previous ball.
It's just a very odd bit of you just defend it down in front of you and then look at the ball for some reason. Faf du Plessis
especially given that there's a short leg there as well. You could just trot across and pick it.
It would be some sharp practice to appeal for obstructing the field, as it would now be. 2 slips and a short leg, a deepest short leg in place as Stokes is in. Keeps a little bit low. Faf watchfully pushes it out into the offside. Sam Curran fields at cover point.
He didn't offer to field that one, did he?
No, he didn't. Didn't offer to run out after it.
Robert Stocker says, wow, South Africa are in real trouble on Crick Tracker. Well, he's on Crick Tracker, South Africa aren't. I mean, they might be.
Well, you're watching South Africa on Crick
Indeed. Hattie Atkinson says, the spell of rain gave me a chance to have a little doze, but still no sign of the cooked breakfast, though. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Hattie.
Stokes is in with his angled run-up. Nicely played by Faf du Plessis. Seemed to read that it was going to be pretty full before Stokes bowled, and it's pushed defensively into the offside. There is no run. Don Best, the man of the hour, is signing autographs. It's a lovely looking bat that he's just signed. BNS, or a South African bat maker. I know this because someone I went to school with was from South Africa, and he had one of those, and it was an absolute beaut of a bat.
Was it really?
Yeah.
What did you bat with, Nickel?
At the time, I was batting with a Slazenger V500 that my dad bought many years ago, which was also a beautiful bat, but far too heavy for me. A short ball down the leg side, and Faf ducks under it. There is no run. But it was the bat that, if a proper batsman broke their bat, they'd always want to borrow that because it had an incredible middle.
And a large middle as well.
Yeah, now I bat with the Gorilla bat, the Gorilla Cricket bat, which were made for us by, which is available from GorillaCricket.com for just under £300, including postage, which for a custom-made bat by the man who made Brendan McCullum's bats for a while is an absolute steal. They're lovely, about £2.09. Beautiful middle, beautiful pickup. Faf du Plessis facing up to Ben Stokes. Last ball of the over is a foolish delivery angling in towards off stump. A model, a study of concentration is Faf du Plessis as he blocks back to the bowler. There is no run. South Africa are 38 for 2.
Arthur Patricia of Arthurshire says, I hesitate to ask, but what's the weather forecast for tomorrow? Do England have to win by an innings, or should they have time to knock off a cheeky 180 if required? From recollection, it's going to be like today, tomorrow, so rain on and off by and large most of the time.
And today was in turn like yesterday.
Yeah.
So a cheeky 180.
So a cheeky 180 might be doable. They'd
South
rather.
Africa are going to score 480.
Well, indeed, but I think they'd rather get it over with today is the answer as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, South Africa, there probably is time for England to chase a cheeky 20, but as we see on the flag, on the TV, a flag of the Not the Spin fanzine, which is a fanzine set up by friend of the show Ian Lomax about county cricket in Lancashire in particular, who have been treating some of their members not particularly well in the last few years. Also, Massam Cricket Club. Massam is up in North Yorkshire. It's a very small town in North Yorkshire that has 2 breweries.
What a great place to live.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's very pretty as well. I went there on a stag do several years ago.
And you managed to get out.
Yeah,
well done.
That was great.
You could send a Guerrilla Cricket admin department there to fail to organise a party in both of them.
4 men round the bat for Pieter Malan. This one turns from Dom Bess, but from off stump, and so it's always going down leg. Malan nudges it on the bouncer leg slip. There is no run. Wouldn't be surprised if Bess goes round the wicket pretty soon. So we've got the slip, we've got the leg slip on his knees, we've got the short leg, and we've got the silly mid off. Bess staying over the wicket for now, past umpire rock and roll Rod Tucker. A little bit too short. That one turns sharply. Pieter Malan thought about cutting it. He then thought about pulling it, and then he just blocked it on the bounce to. Well, I think Stokes ran from slip to field into the gully region.
Changed his mind about 3 times, though, didn't he?
Yeah, you see that short and you think, ooh, and then suddenly it turns sharply. Pieter Malan 6 off 68 balls. A little bit of a forward push from Malan, and then goes deep in his crease off that forward. Press, very much a Duncan Fletcher method, the modern way, I say the modern way, probably 25 years now, of playing spin. He pushes it out into the point region they come through for a single. Faf du Plessis then, for some reason, practices a sort of very choppy pull shot. He does hold the bat a little bit like he's a lumberjack trying to chop down a tree. Very sort of hard, exaggerated hand movements, and he walks across to off stump this time and just nudges it round the corner on the bounce to Joe Root on his knees at leg slip. There is no run. A little bit too easy for the South Africans, I think, when Bess is getting this much consistent turn from over the wicket. You pretty much know where the ball's going to end up. Bess enough. That was that round arm delivery that got Faf du Plessis in the first innings, but that as a full toss. And du Plessis misses out, really. He just pushes it on a couple of bounces to Joe Denley, set part way back at square leg, which is where Faf du Plessis was dismissed by Dominic Bess in the second test. Last ball of Dom Bess's 6th over of the second innings. He's in, tosses this up, and Faf du Plessis defends off the inside part of the bat on the ground to short leg. There is no run. Dom Bess pretty much firmly installed at the duck pond end now, none for 3 off his 6 over. South Africa 39 for 2.
It's all gone rather quiet on tweet, so what I'm going to do is bowl an over of questions about England's record in the 500 matches that they've played away, this being their 500th test overseas. And the first question is going to be about who has scored the most hundreds. And if you want to have a venture at who was 2nd, 3rd, 4th or even 5th, please do. But in 500 overseas test matches for England, who has scored the most hundreds? Ping your answers in. First to reply gets love kisses and
a small amount of internet kudos.
and our undying gratitude.
Alistair Cook scored the most test hundreds for England.
I would think overseas he'd be.
So there you go. So now Knuckles already given you the answer.
Well, I don't know if that's the answer, but I'm just trying. I'm thinking out loud.
Well, don't.
Okay.
Peter Jones, could root fielding on his knees be to protect his back? Is a question. That's a good question too.
Yeah, it is something he's had an issue with. Sort of Michael Atherton, like sort of slightly taller, slightly stiffer players. I think Zach Crawley's gone into the slip cordon as Stokes continues to Pieter Malan. Oh, that's why. Because there's 2 slips and 2 short legs. That's a lovely shot by Pieter Malan. Not a half volley by any means. And he just pushes this beautifully past the dive of Stokes. It goes between bowler and straightish extra cover down to the long off boundary for 4. off his 70th delivery, his first boundary, and it was a beauty.
Good shot, wasn't it?
Yeah, just leant into that and pushed it. Even Ben Stokes with his reach couldn't get near that. He moves into double figures. He's 11 of 70.
Over pitch ball, though, isn't it?
Yeah, mildly, but
the treatment.
Obviously, bowling, pitching it up, trying to see if he can get some swing. That's back of a length and does hurry Pieter Malan, and it's on the bounce to the more forward of the two short legs. There is no run. So Dom Sibley, I think, is just forward of square. Ollie Pope is bang on square. And it's Root and Zach Crawley at first and second. So Crawley, of course, who took a superb catch off Ben Stokes towards the end of the Cape Town test when he was standing very, very close. Palmed it out with one hand and caught it beautifully in the other.
We don't have a jingle for reaching double figures, so...
No. It's not the kind of thing you would expect to be a milestone, even in Test cricket.
I thought I'd look.
Ben Stokes, third ball of the over. In he comes now and bowls. Back of a length delivery, which is rather gentle, really, and Pieter Malan has a lot of time to push it up into the onside. Mark Wood fields at mid-on. There is no run. He does give the impression of someone who has a lot of time to play, Pieter Malan. Although, weirdly, he's done... I mean, it is only his second test, but he's done considerably better in the second innings than he has done in the first innings on both occasions. I think he quite likes this just stonewalling approach, or this stonewalling role which he's been forced into.
Playing for the draw.
Yeah, indeed. Unsuccessfully in the in Cape Town, and the weather, I think, will be more of a factor than South Africa's batting here at Port Elizabeth. That's outside off stump, and Malan plays from the crease a little bit handsily rather than with any real commitment. On the bounce, it goes to Joe Denley off the backward point off the outside part of the bat. There is no run.
Arthur Patricia's in straight away. Without cheating, he says, I guess Cook, Hammond, Vaughan, Gooch, Hutton in that order. I can tell you, Arthur Patricia, you have the first one correct. You have one of those correct, but not in the right place. The rest are wrong.
Ooh.
As Stokes is in, fifth ball of the over. It's a short ball, which Pieter Malan decides that he's happy enough to wear on the arm. He got the bat and gloves well out of the way of it, but that didn't quite get up as much as Pieter Malan was expecting. Somehow he's grinning as it thumped into his bicep, but he does have very large biceps, so perhaps he's used to heavy impact upon them. It dribbles down into the leg side. There is no run. He will have a bruise tomorrow.
Going to have a big bruise now.
He will. Durban Oak says Australian Stuart Law, Middlesex coach, only played one test and scored 54 not out.
He did.
So he has an average of infinity. He would have had to have had a long test career with any other country.
Oh, for sure.
He would have had a long test career with any other country. Yes, I think you're probably right.
Last ball of the over from Ben Stokes. Here's the full delivery after hitting Pieter Malan, and Malan is very well in behind it. Blocks back to the bowler. There is no run. That was an interesting over from Stokes and well played by Pieter Malan. South Africa 43 for 2.
And so, yes, no, a few answers coming in. Dave Wood. Dave Wood says, most overseas hundreds, I'm going with Alan Mullally. Do bowling figures count?
No,
no they don't. Peter Lloyd says, I was moving to say Cook before it was given away. Yes, Peter, you're right. See if you can guess the other 4 in that top 5, as long as it wasn't boycotts. No, it wasn't. Dr. Leonie Hicks says, the other cricket fan in the household, Ian Hawke, who's too lazy to tweet, suggests KP. It pains me to type that. No, it wasn't.
Right.
Gits and Grats, the wonderful Gits and Grats. Oh, well, there's this. This is a part of a series of conversations, I think, that started when you commentate on deliveries like that. You should be referred to C through PO.
I mean, presumably that would be David Brooke and his green screen error.
It was.
Yeah, I was saying in the last over that Don Best is firmly installed at the duck pond end, but Joe Root thinks otherwise and has brought himself on.
It's better.
His voice is high-pitched and ginger hair like a pick, but massive runs he has hit, so there's that. Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
Obviously tired of being on his knees. He's going to start round the wicket to Faf du Plessis, which makes sense, particularly given that Root's a little bit skiddier than Don Best and doesn't generally turn the ball as much. Slipping a short leg and a leg slip. Root very round arm. That does turn, though. The advantage of bowling very round arm and very quick is that if it does bite, it'll turn pretty sharply. Even though that was 49 miles an hour, Faf had to hurry. Turns it round the corners of the man on the 45. There is no run. Root in his work very quickly. That's floated up on middle and off stump. Defended into the offside. There is no run.
Yeah, we had other replies to that incredible picture of David in his green top. as we see through him to the cricket. I always said we could see through David Brooke. That's very tomorrow, people, said Double 12 Yates BSC.
Root outside off stump and leg stump rather, and Faf du Plessis probably didn't need to play it there, but he wasn't sure whether it was going to turn down leg or go on with the arm maybe bowling around his leg, so he just nudges it down into the leg side. There is no run.
Matthew Williams says, please let it be Gary Balance. No, I'm afraid not. Hiking for Opfran Andre says, Cook, Cowdrey, Bell. You have another one in this. You have 2 correct there.
Very round arm from Joe Root, shortest delivery, which turns a little bit, but Faf du Plessis turns it out into the leg side. Square leg field. So we've got a slip, a short leg, a leg slip, a man on the 45 at short fine leg, a square leg slightly in front of square, a mid-on the leg side. It's a pretty leg side dominant field. This one might have been bowled slightly more for the top spinner with the seam a little bit more vertical or pointed towards the batter, and du Plessis defends back to the bowler. There is no run, and in no time at all, Joe Root is bowling the last ball of the over, which is a ludicrous LBW appeal to a ball that pitched a good stump outside. Like stump, it would have hit middle stump, but it pitched outside leg. No thoughts of a review there. A maiden from Joseph Edward Root, South Africa, 43 for 2.
Dr. Leonie Hicks says, surely it can't be boycott. No, it definitely is not. Alan Turfmore tells us on YouTube that I live in the on the Lancashire-Yorkshire border. We have a lovely little cricket ground called Walsden Cricket Club, and I can see play from my bedroom window. Not today, you probably can't. But you will be seeing play at Turf Moor, I think, versus Leicester, I think, 2 o'clock kick-off. So good, I would say good luck with that. As a Watford fan, I have probably more of a vested interest in Leicester getting a result there. But I'm also a big fan of Sean Dyche.
Leicester are having a bit of a wobble at the moment.
Yeah, so actually you may be playing Leicester at a good time, Alan. So yes, if we weren't in a duel to the death in the relegation mix,
I think the facts.
I'd be quite a Burnley fan, I have to tell you, because of Sean Dyche.
South Africa 43 for 2, trail by 247. The man must gargle with rocks.
I was going to put forward the thesis that apart from Liverpool, I think every side in the Premier League is having a wobble.
Well, this is very true.
Mostly because Liverpool are so good. Don Bess has changed ends to the Park Drive end. Let's see what he can get from here. The 4 men reinstall themselves around the bat. There's Bess bowls outside off stump. A pretty innocuous delivery, which Peter Milan can push comfortably out to the tall, sprawling figure of Zach Crawley at backward point. They come through for a single. Let's get a jingle for the man who's just switched ends.
From the county scene where he plies his trade. It's Dominic Bess, selected for the low test, the latest in a long line of sinners who turned out to be.
Just the 3 men round the bat. Again, the Suleimanov has moved into the leg side for Faf du Plessis, outside off stump from over the wicket. Du Plessis defends comfortably enough on the bounce to short leg. There is no run. There's a pretty heavy cross breeze blowing, and I wonder, I'll come to that after this ball, as Bess is in past umpire Bruce of the Oxenshield, outside off stump and turned on the bounce to short leg. There is no run. I wonder if the theory is that because of the cross breeze, the breeze might aid Bess's drift. And I think that's exactly what is happening, because the wind is blowing sort of from leg side to off for the right-hand batter, and the ball should hold up in the breeze and drift a little bit. That holds up outside off stump, but doesn't turn. Faf du Plessis defends from outside off stump back to the bowler. There is no run. So Joe Root is paying attention, which is good to see.
Lennox Lear is in an entertaining place at the moment. I'll have to read this between balls.
We've got 2 balls left of this over. That's very full and tempting Faf du Plessis to come forward. He plays it with soft hands and nudges it round the corner to the man at short leg. There is no run.
Yes, Lennox Lear says, the sound of leather on naked flesh. Feeling a bit dirty now for enjoying it as much as I do.
It's that old 2 Ronnies thing. Was it The Sounds of Summer? Birds singing in the trees, the smell of cut grass, the smell of leather on Brian Close. Or the sound of leather on Brian Close, rather. As Bess now finally is coming around the wicket. I think this is a better line of attack. Tosses it up outside off stump, and Faf du Plessis defends comfortably out into the offside. There is no run. Bess slightly interrupted spell by Root bringing himself on to change Bess's end, is, so to speak, is none for 4 of his 7. South Africa 44 for 2, still trailing, following on by 246.
Hiking fan Andre says Cook, Bell, Atherton. You are right on one of those, which we already knew, wrong on 2 of them. So what I'm going to do is, at the end of the next over, I'm going to give you the answers. So get your answers in the next over if you can, and I will give you that top 5. Dr. Leonie Hicks says...
It's 5 minutes till tea.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I will reveal the answer after tea. How about doing that then?
So you'll have the tea break to guess.
Dr. Leonie Hicks says Strauss, and the answer is yes, but in what position? And don't say stood in front of the stumps. And
as Root continues, this is outside off stump and rather dies through to Peter Milan, and he nudges it on the bounce to short leg. There is no run. 5 minutes to go till tea.
Dr. Jonathan Lowe says most centuries overseas for England. Cook.
Hold that thought as Root goes very wide in the crease from round the wicket. This is full outside leg stump, and Milan wanted the single as he turned it around the corner, but it went straight to Mark Wood, grazing on the 45. There is no run. There's a slipper, leg slipper, short leg. A man on the 45 at short leg. Sort of straightish mid-wicket and a mid-on, who are almost in line with each other. Big LBW appeal, and Rob Tucker raises the finger. Peter Milan wasn't sure whether to go forward or back. He was beaten in the flight. It straightened a little bit from round the wicket. There is a question of height. There's also a question of whether it's turning down leg, and Peter Milan has reviewed. He reviewed fairly instantaneously. I think umpire's call, maybe top of leg bail.
Well, we're having a look now. Let's see what we see.
Certainly not a no ball. Root bowling from way behind the front line, as all spinners. Shows a lovely seam position.
Good line.
It's no bat involved, I don't think. I think the bat has
into the stump.
The bat has caught himself behind the pad. It's hit him on leg stump. He's a long way forward. Actually,
that's an inside edge.
No, it's not. No.
This is very close. It hit the pad first. You can see on the leg, on the left-hand side of this split screen from front on the I think bat hit pad, ball hit pad first before the bat could quite get near the ball. It's marginal, but you can see reasonably clear evidence that the ball's hit the pad first. Has it pitched in line? It has pitched in line. It's hit him on middle stump. This looks good. This looks good. Yep, taking out the top of middle stump. Not even umpire's call. Review lost, and more importantly for South Africa, wicket lost. Peter Milan's vigil is done after 79 balls. Joe Root has a wicket. South Africa 44 for 3. Smartly done from Root, went round the wicket, recognised that it's more dangerous bowling round the wicket as the off spinner when the ball is turning this much. Milan has to play the LBW bowler in play, and it was LBW that saw the end of Peter Milan.
Dr. Jonathan Lowe says most centuries overseas. Cook, Bell, KP, Hammond, Cowdrey. I can tell you 3 are right and 2 are not.
Well, hold that thought, because it is tea on day 4. South Africa go to tea at 44 for 3, so literally on the stroke of tea. Joe Root has dismissed Peter Milan and given England a sniff of winning it today in what is sure to be an extended session, or as extended as the bad light will allow. I think that was the only wicket to fall in that sort of hour and a half.
It's a big one, though.
Second session. It was a big one. We've seen that Peter Milan in his short career is very sticky and adhesive. And Joe Root will be absolutely delighted with life. Faf du Plessis is not out on 12 not out of 53. Hendrik Erasmus van der Dussen will have to keep him company after tea. The bowling figures: Stuart Broad, 6 overs, 3 maidens, none for 5. Sam Curran, 3 overs, no maidens, none for 13. Mark Wood, taking his first Test wickets in nearly a year, 5 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 11. Dominic Best, 7 overs, 3 maidens, none for 4. Ben Stokes, 5 overs, 2 maidens, none for 9. Joe Root, 1.3 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for none. South Africa following on 43 for no loss, still trail by 246 runs.
Before we go to tea, I shall just tidy up some final tweets, messages on our various platforms. Scott Button says, still no Sammy Curran. Well, that was, I would imagine, typed before England took that wicket from Joe Root, but no, not yet. Alan Turfmore says, yes, we do need a result today. We are in trouble, and yes, Dice is a legend. Brian Deschazo says, I was watching the Ireland versus West Indies T20 yesterday, and my mother walked in exclaiming that Paul Sterling looks just like she imagined a leprechaun would.
I've always thought of him as a kind of Viking berserker, Paul Sterling.
And Nicholas Roberts says, what an important toss to win. Nicholas, I don't know if you're referring to this game, but if it is about this game, then yes, we concur. It absolutely was an important test to win.
Sixth lost toss in a row. Apparently the record is 10 by Nasser Hussain.
Indeed. Anyway,
yes. Join us in 10 minutes or so for the final session of day 4, probably an extended one, and we'll go back to Tony's chat on Gorilashire with our Gloucestershire expert. What was his name? Your Gloucestershire man, Steve Ginman, and also a bonus Annie Chave, the stadium announcer at Maidenhead United Football Club. Archive podcast ahoy! See you in 10 minutes.
Guildford once, Ian Gregg was batting for Surrey.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what